everybody. This is the Two Old Farts. My name is Chuck.
I'm Lou, and I'm not sure which one's better looking of 204 today. I think you look pretty good. What's that shirt you got on?
That's a band from the 90s I saw, I think, last year.
Okay. What's the ad about?
It says Helmet, right?
Yeah. What the
Okay.
hell is that? What's Helmet?
That's the name of the band.
Band. Okay.
I said I went to see a band from the 90s and I held this up. That's what that means. That's the band. Helmet.
Well, you're talking to the oldest of the 204s here who can't damn hear. Besides that, my good hearing aids I had to send out for a replacement. I'm wearing these hearing aids that's like 5 years old, but the hell, they work better than the ones I sent off.
I said, yeah, the ones you currently have don't work worth a shit because you can't hear half the what I'm saying.
But anyway, we'll get through it.
I hope so.
It could be worse.
Hey, apologies, everyone, for us not recording on Sunday. I just wasn't feeling it. And then most of this week, my father, he's been visiting Uncle Bobby, who's been in the hospital for almost the whole week, hasn't he?
Yeah, since Monday or Tuesday. I'm sorry, since Tuesday. Yeah,
So,
he had passed some blood and had some of the same symptoms he had the last time. Thank goodness it wasn't as severe as it was 2.5 months ago. Did the endoscopy test where they run it down? Can't find anything, so they got to do a colonoscopy to see if they can find it from
the other
down.
end,
Yeah,
did they get it scheduled? Because I know you said he had one scheduled for like November, but I mean, clearly we need to find one soon.
he's got one scheduled for November. I had talked to him about talking to his doctor to get somebody to get in touch with the VA, and they did. There was real nice. He told his doctor, who told the nurse and stuff like that, a real nice technician that came in and said she would do that. He told her what he wanted and stuff like that. And while I was there yesterday visiting with him, she came in. She actually had called Audie Murphy at the VA hospital, explained to them what's going on and how important it was. And they said they would work to see if they could get him in sooner to do that. So we'll see. But he looks real good. He was doing well. You saw the picture I sent you guys this morning. So
Yeah, with the sexy Griffin socks, the socks that he's wearing.
yeah, those compression socks he had on. Yeah,
Get the fashion statement.
yeah. Well, your Uncle Bobby always been that way. Whatever's out, he's going to have it.
I think was irony. Because no, it's
He's just a good guy, and I'm blessed. I had two brothers and I have a sister left, but yet I still have four brothers left: Bobby, Leonard, Michael, and Joy.
mm-hmm.
They're like brothers to me, so couldn't be any better than that. Did you see that car that Brooke got her son?
Yeah, it's a Dodge Dart, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, I'd asked her what year it was. Okay, hang on. She answered me. I think
Yeah,
she's so it's a Plymouth. So because it's a swinger. Dodge made darts. Plymouth made swingers. So it's a 1970.
but that's a pretty cool car. He's a pretty cool guy. He was, when they were down business stuff like that, he was really looking forward to meeting you. Unfortunately, you couldn't be there, but he plays the guitar and he does all that kind of stuff. And
Exactly. See, that's what I was hoping is I can bring him up here. I've got an electric guitar. I've got a Fender Deluxe Reverb amp and a couple of electric guitars that he could play, and I could like thump around on the bass, and we could have done something.
yeah, he's pretty sharp. Well, he and his brother both were, but I'm looking forward to them. They said they were going to come back next year doing Fiesta, so maybe we can get together and do some stuff and have some fun like that. It was really fun having them down.
Very nice.
Before we get too far in this, I want to give a shout out to Cassie and Aubrey for being really good daughters and taking care of their dad. So I got a chance to talk with him more individually this time at the hospital than ever before and stuff. He's blessed. He has two, actually three great daughters, but Wendy, I don't know that well because I haven't seen her in years and stuff. But that's nice. Well, what do you think about that football game last night?
I love the first half. Didn't quite like the second half.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm impressed with Texas State. I think they're the real deal. I was impressed with the second half. It's easy in that first half to get momentum going, and you can do a lot of things. But then you settle down at halftime, make those adjustments. I thought they reacted and handled it pretty good.
I would say 21 unanswered or 14 unanswered is not handling it very well.
Well, that last touchdown that they made, it's just one of those things. It was a turnover.
They weren't the. They, what am I trying to say? They beat themselves, in my opinion, with penalties that always came at the wrong time. And then what should have been, in my opinion, a targeting call on Arizona State wasn't. And what should not have been a targeting call against Texas State was. I thought, you know what I'm saying? And I think when you do the totality of all of those things, I think that is why that they didn't win.
And I'm telling you, you're right. That made a big difference on that call that they made against Texas State.
I
Made
think it
a
just took
huge.
the air right out from their sails.
Not only that, it put the other team in a different position. And I'm gonna tell you, it wasn't a nickel's worth of difference between that hit on that kid and then what Arizona State did to Texas State.
Was
Yes,
not.
yeah, it's just
Matter of fact, on the targeting call against Texas State, he hit the side of his helmet and glanced off. The
right.
other guy led with the crown of his helmet and hit from the front to the side and rolled off. And they said that that wasn't. And all of the broadcasters were like, that's targeting, that's targeting. And then they're like, I guess it isn't.
You know, I I'm really impressed with what I see with Texas State. They've got a couple of games coming up, and you got to take into account that was a pretty short week for them. They played Saturday, then they played again Thursday night, so that doesn't really give you as much time as a lot of other schools. Arizona had a whole lot more time to prepare for them. You know,
They
so
were a very well coached quarterback. He's literally good. But you want to know where the heck they got the Texas State quarterback because that guy's the real deal. That's a kid you need to watch because I guarantee you he's probably a second or third round draft pick. He's a sleeper.
yeah. And the other difference is that the running back from Arizona State. Now that boy's good too. You got to give it credit for him.
You talking about the guy that couldn't get anything going until the fourth quarter? Not Arizona State running back.
I thought he did pretty good in the third quarter.
No, he was not good at all.
He had
He
a
was
hundred.
trash up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, yeah, almost 100 yards rushing in that first half.
No, he did not.
Yeah,
What's with the Arizona
but I'm gonna tell you, it was a good deal. I'm
You're
just,
talking Scatterbo.
and they got some time to get ready for Sam Houston and then Troy. You know, the way they played last night, well, those first three games, the way they played, they've handled the adversity stuff. I don't really see anybody that probably could beat. I mean, I don't see any reason why they should lose the rest of the year. I really don't, because they play Sam Houston State, then they go to Troy, Then Arkansas State, Old Dominion, University of Louisiana. That's going to be a good game. University of Louisiana, Monroe, USM, and then Georgia State, South Alabama. Now, South Alabama looked good last night.
Yeah, was it 95 points they put up?
I don't remember how much it was. I know it was like 55 at halftime. Yeah. So yeah, so that's going to be a good game. So
Yeah, I don't think you're talking about the right guy, Dad, because last night Cam Stadbo only had 62 yards rushing. He averaged 2.6 yards. I would not call that really good.
yeah, so but it was a ball game. I really enjoyed it. We might have to try to get a ticket and go up there and watch them play one game.
Yeah, Gordon McLeod, that's the Texas State quarterback. He had some really good stats. He didn't have as quite the average as Levitt, but he had a much better QBR.
Hmm.
McLeod did 29 of 44 for 268 yards, and Levitt was 19 for 30 for 246 yards. Levitt had a QBR of 69.4, and McLeod had 80 even.
It's pretty good.
And yeah, and Jordan McLeod accounted for 4 touchdowns,
Yeah,
and
he
Levitt only accounted for 1 passing.
Yeah, your comment at halftime to me that between the running back, that's a good duo. I'm just really impressed with Texas State. I watched them last year. I liked him. I can see why TJ Finley left.
He ran out of time, first of all. He was, what, a 6-year
Yeah,
senior or something? But he was what they needed as that bridge for that, because that was the first year for the coach. So, I mean, he was good for what they needed at the time. But I want to know where this guy's been fishing because he's been getting some good catches, as in great ball players on his team. He's using that portal quite well.
but I'm just really impressed with him. Good games tomorrow too. What we
Unfortunately,
do,
I'm going to miss most of
what
them.
we're going to. I'm into that Wisconsin game tomorrow. I think that game will pretty much tell us, I think, how we're going to do the rest of the year.
Well, I think so too.
And the good thing about it, we'll have a chance to recoup and reevaluate a lot of things because our offensive line this hasn't looked that strong to me. And that kid last week played right tackle. At first, I was criticizing, but then I was reading something about what somebody was saying about learning and getting better and how he reacts to it. So we'll see how that goes too. And then, of course, Proctor being out didn't help either. So hopefully he'll be back this week.
Once we put Proctor in, that's where we got those 3 scores.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
So at least we got a week off before we play Georgia. So that's going to be a decisive game for the rest of the
Well,
season.
I think it's decisive because if we played the way we played against South Alabama, we ain't got a snowball's chance in hell against Georgia.
Yeah, that's why I said how we react to that and learn from that game and what we do with Wisconsin is going to determine how we play Georgia.
100%.
Yeah. Uh, so it's going to be good. And the sad thing about it, Georgia plays Kentucky, then they get a week off before they play us. So
Well, they probably weren't counting on Saban being retired, so
what do you think about him being on game day?
I like it.
I did
I'm
too.
happy for it. Yeah.
He's funny, and I'm going to tell you, last week when Coach Corso was there, I thought they made a good team. I thought they complemented each other very well. one not trying to overshadow the other one type thing, you know?
And you can't and shouldn't overshadow Coach Corso. You know, he's like an institution,
Yeah. So,
very beloved.
what game day gonna be at tomorrow? I forgot to look it up.
Ooh,
Notre Dame got beat this past weekend. That was a shocker.
yeah, by Northern Illinois, that was the shocker. Them getting beat, not surprised. I mean, they're never as good as the hype that all of the sports networks pundits try to sell. They always try to push Notre Dame, and they're never as good.
Well, they've always done that. It's been forever like that. It goes back in the Bear Bryant days when they gave them a national championship over us because they're Notre Dame and we're Alabama.
The 1966 stolen ring, that it was more than that. That was Notre Dame played. Was it Ohio State or Michigan?
But
And they played for the
for
tie, not the win.
exactly,
So even though technically Alabama should have been the national champion because they were undefeated, they somehow in their minds decided that it would be Notre Dame, who technically didn't have a loss, even though it was a tie.
they didn't have a
And
loss, but they had a tie, and we didn't have a tie, and we won all of our games.
exactly, but a lot of the people think that it because this was 1966, the height of civil rights, everything that was going on down south, Alabama and Mississippi in particular, that they think the sports writers were trying to punish Alabama and the South, and therefore they gave it to Notre Dame.
So I guess
Their
that's
college game day this Saturday is in South Carolina for the South Carolina. And
okay. Well, you think South Carolina's got a chance against LA?
they haven't been looking too good at the beginning of the season, but this is home. College game day is going to be there, so it'll most likely be a night game. So you never know what can happen under the lights.
Some of the things that's happened at LSU the last couple of weeks with the coach getting onto the players and stuff like he's done tells me, or I think that may be some internal issues there. I mean, last week after the game or during the game or after the game, he was jumping all over the kicker, I guess, because the kicker missed. I get talking to him, but when you start taking your frustrations out on a particular player because they didn't do something, and that wasn't the only time. That's happened two or three times this year with LSU. So to me, that's something internal. Some community, you just don't know because but I'm gonna tell you what, I get back to this Texas State. I am just so impressed with the coach and that defensive coordinator last night. He was into that game, wasn't he? And
Yeah, he was.
he was calling plays and calling the right defenses. Because I think Arizona thought they were just going to go in there and just kind of walk all over them little boys from Texas, you know.
Yeah, they've only been playing FBS football for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's they've come a long way in 10 years.
Yes. Yes.
But it unfortunately it takes money to do that.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money to get the right coach, you don't have the money for the right facilities, you're not going to get the right players because they're not going to want to come. They're not going to want to come and play for a coach that is mediocre. Today's kids, they don't want to play for a school that's got, 1975 era rooms and facilities. It's got to look nice. It's got to be top notch.
Well, I
Because
understand that from
it's those little things that really, when you put it all together, is what makes the package so great.
yeah, and I understand that from a player's point of view. They're trying to establish themselves and make a living for themselves. You know, they're trying to get to that next level and stuff like that. Hopefully, with Texas State with what they're doing, if they can keep the coach and keep building what they got, because your comment last night, where they get these players from, I think that was a big deal. I think they are starting to recruit some good players because I think that's what happened with all this. I mean, being able to transfer the transfer portal stuff is starting to help a lot of these smaller schools in some respects, yeah. So,
And unfortunately, it hurts those smaller schools because you get a player like Isniti, who is in his second year. The big boys are going to come calling and try to get him for his third year because they need that running back that can catch and run and block. Same
uh,
thing with that quarterback. Because if he's doing as great as he is right now in his first year, who isn't going to want this guy if their quarterback gets hurt? Because you've already got game film on this game. You don't know what that high school recruit's going to do.
and that's good for these other players who aren't recruited very highly but are great ball players. They know that they can go to a school like Texas State or UTSA or something like that, do well. They will get noticed and they'll be able to get to where they want to go. So, I think it's
That's the
good for
thing
everybody all
about
around.
being, if your coach is any good, if your players are any good, it's like that self-licking ice cream cone. And you go back to UTSA a few years ago. Oh God, I can't remember the defensive coordinator's name. But in that one year, he made Texas, UTSA's defense ranked fourth in the nation. Well, guess who came calling and took him? Saban. Pulled him up to Alabama after
Yeah.
1 year at UTSA.
I think that's good. I think that's good for the sports. I think it's good for the players. It's good for coaches. It's a job. They're in it to make a living. They're in it to support their family and stuff. The byproduct is we have entertainment.
I know. I'm not hating against it. I'm just saying that's the bad side of the portal and for coaching. You look, go back to Kalen DeBoer. He was at Fresno State for what, 2 years before he went up to Washington State. Washington State 2 years, and boom, he's coaching Alabama. You're talking about one of the blue bloods of college football.
And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. When you have players and coaches that really are good, but they're at smaller universities that you don't always get noticed, like, have that opportunity to move forward like you'd like to. So I think with everything that's happening with the NIL and all those other kind of things, you're starting to see those things happen more and more. You're starting to see, look at that coach from Arizona State last night. You see how young he is?
They played really well. They're a good team.
Yeah. And what that tells me is you're looking at guys that have a lot of talent, that know what to do and how to get it done through the players. Whereas a few years ago, back in the day, if you wasn't at Alabama or some big name school, you didn't hardly get a chance to move to go to a bigger university, or if you were at the mid tier, you had to wait till somebody died, got fired, right?
Yeah, and we used to hang on to schools used to hang on to coaches a lot longer back in the
That's
day than they do today. It's it's just a fact of life. I mean, if you're not making the right moves by year 3, you're gone.
well, it's all about money for the university.
But at the same time, it's costing them money because these coaches want these 4 and 5-year guarantees when they come in because they know the pressure is so great. So, I mean, they've got to pat it on the back end because they know by year 3 or 4, they're gone. The school needs to pay out the rest of the salary because it's all guaranteed.
Yeah, and not only that, the coaches know when they go in, their philosophy is different from the person who's they're replacing, or they would be hiring them. And so they know it's going to take time for them to get into the personnel who's going to buy into their philosophy of their way of doing things. And so they know it's going to take them 3, 4, 5 years. But the good coaches, Coach Kine, like at Texas State. I mean, he came from Incarnate Word. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah, but he
he's,
jumped in real quick and took Texas State to their first bowl game ever
yeah.
and won.
And he did pretty much the same thing in Incarnate Word. I mean, who'd ever heard, other than here in San Antonio, who'd ever heard of Incarnate Word?
Yeah, he took them to what, the Elite Eight or Final Four in the FCS playoffs.
Yeah. You know, so
He
it's
took them
good.
deep.
I'm really happy to see these coaches who are good, who are at these smaller universities, that you don't get the recognition because you don't get the TV coverage. You know,
They're getting the visibility, and people are looking, and they're looking everywhere. They're not just looking at, like you said, top rank of mid-tier for talent. They're looking everywhere because if you can win, it translates.
it's going to be good. That's why I like college sports and I like high school, and you can see that you see some of these high school coaches and what they're doing and how. So it's fun. It's good entertainment for us, right?
Kansas State had a good crowd last night. They were into it. They were loud. They caused the crowd helped Arizona State have a couple of penalties when they were deep in their own side of the field, almost in the end zone. They had a couple of bad snaps, offside calls. And that's the power of college football. Is those fans, those kids. I mean, just getting loud.
Well, getting close to that time. We don't want to get
Yeah,
you
it
in
is.
trouble. So, I got one last story to tell you about your Uncle Leonard. You know how Uncle Leonard is. He was bought a couple of riding lawnmowers from one of the neighbors down the street. This lady, she was kind of selling things, so he's going to be nice and buy a couple of riding lawnmowers from her, and he's going to fix them up. And one of them he's going to give to Johnny. You remember Johnny? And then he was going to put the other one out at his mother-in-law's place and stuff like that, at Terry's mom's house and stuff like that. So that way, when he goes out cut grass, he doesn't have to take us out there. Well, he got the lawnmower on the back of his trailer. Got home with it. He was going to try to back it off the trailer, right? Couldn't get it to start. So he pulled it. He finally got it like halfway running. He wasn't looking, paying attention. He put that thing in reverse and it flew off the back of that trailer. And then it turned over on top of him. Here, laying upside down. Luckily, he didn't get hurt. He just, bruised a little bit. But it's not funny, but it is funny, especially when you get your Uncle Leonard telling you a story like about it and stuff like that. When you're around lawnmowers, be careful. You don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah, make sure you use your protective gear. I used to laugh at everybody for doing all that stuff 30 years ago, but it makes a lot of sense. Wear long pants, long sleeves, gloves, eye goggles for sure. And
Absolutely.
if it's live, get you some hearing protection. Otherwise, you're gonna be like that little fart right there who can't hear me.
That's like I wear my ear protection cutting grass and all that kind of stuff. And here lately, I've been wearing one of those braces on my wrist and stuff so I don't strain the arm when I'm using a weed eater and stuff like that. So, and my doctor told me when I had my primary care visit, he said, all my stuff was good. He says, keep doing what you're doing. He said, age is only a number. I said, okay, doc. He just said, stay out of the trees, quit trimming trees.
All righty, old fart. Let's wrap this thing up.
Well, you have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow when we're watching football.
All righty, take care.
I love you. Bye.
Cheers.